You have everything you thought you wanted. The career, the salary, the recognition, the lifestyle that others envy. You've checked all the boxes society told you would make you happy, yet you wake up every morning feeling like you're living someone else's life. There's this hollow ache in your chest that success was supposed to fill, but instead, the more you achieve, the emptier you feel. You look at your accomplishments and feel nothing. Not pride, not satisfaction, not joy, just a strange detachment, like you're watching someone else's achievements from behind glass. And the worst part, you feel guilty for feeling empty when you have it all. What if I told you that this emptiness isn't a sign that something's wrong with you? What if it's actually your soul trying to tell you something crucial about the difference between what Jung called ego success and authentic fulfillment? Your emptiness might be the most important message you've ever received. Carl Jung understood that there are two fundamentally different types of success. The first is what he called ego success. Achieving goals that society, family, or our wounded selves believe will make us worthy, safe, or valuable. This is the success of the persona, the mask we wear to gain approval and avoid rejection. The second is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are beneath all the expectations, roles, and identities you've collected. This is authentic success, and it often looks very different from what the world celebrates. Ego success asks, what will make others think I'm valuable? Authentic success asks, what will make me feel alive? Ego success is driven by fear, fear of not being enough, fear of rejection, fear of failure. Authentic success is driven by curiosity, passion, and genuine interest in growth and contribution. When you achieve ego success without authentic fulfillment, you experience what Jung called the successful neurosis. You've won the game, but it was the wrong game entirely. Meet Alexandra, a 34-year-old marketing executive who just received the promotion she'd been working toward for 5 years. Corner office, 6-figure salary, team of 15 people reporting to her. By every external measure, she had made it. Her parents were proud, her colleagues envious, her social media perfectly curated with success. But the night after her promotion celebration, Alexandra sat in her new office at 11 p.m. staring out at the city lights and felt absolutely nothing. Worse than nothing, she felt like she was suffocating in someone else's life. She had spent so many years climbing toward this moment that she never stopped to ask herself if this was actually what she wanted or just what she thought she was supposed to want. The promotion that should have been her happiest moment instead became her wake-up call. She realized she had become incredibly successful at living a life that had nothing to do with who she actually was underneath all her achievements. We live in a culture that has weaponized achievement against authentic living. From childhood, we're taught that our worth is conditional on our performance, our output, our ability to meet external standards of success. We learn to measure ourselves by salary, title, possessions, social status, metrics that have nothing to do with psychological health or spiritual fulfillment. Jung saw this coming decades before our current achievement-obsessed culture reached its peak. He understood that when a society becomes disconnected from meaning and authentic values, it compensates by creating increasingly elaborate systems of external validation. The result is millions of people climbing ladders that are leaning against the wrong walls, achieving goals that were never truly theirs, living lives that look successful from the outside but feel empty from the inside. We've confused motion with progress, busyness with purpose, achievement with fulfillment. Jung taught that when we live too long in the ego's version of success, our authentic self doesn't disappear. It goes underground and becomes part of what he called the shadow. The shadow contains everything we've pushed away to maintain our successful image, our creativity, our vulnerability, our unconventional dreams, our need for genuine connection. And the shadow doesn't stay buried quietly. It shows up as depression that makes no logical sense. You have everything you wanted, so why do you feel so low? It manifests as anxiety about maintaining your success, constant fear that you're an imposter who will eventually be found out. It appears as addictive behaviors that help you escape the emptiness, overworking, overspending, overdrinking, overachieving. The shadow whispers at 3 a.m., this isn't your life, this isn't who you are, you're living someone else's dreams and calling them your own. The emptiness you feel after achieving everything isn't failure, it's your authentic self demanding to be heard. Alexandra's breaking point came during what should have been another triumph, a company-wide presentation where she was celebrated for her team's record-breaking quarter. As everyone applauded, she felt like she was watching herself from outside her body, performing a role she had perfected but never chosen. That night, she did something she hadn't done in years. She opened her laptop and looked at the folder she'd hidden deep in her files. Hundreds of photos she'd taken over the years, creative projects she'd abandoned, poems she'd written but never shared. For 10 minutes, she remembered who she was before she became who she thought she should be. The woman in those creative works was vibrant, curious, alive. The woman getting promoted every year was successful, respected, empty. Alexandra realized she had traded her soul for a corner office and called it winning. Pause here and ask yourself honestly, what version of success are you chasing? Is it success that would make your most authentic self proud, or success that would make your wounds feel safe? What dreams did you abandon to climb the ladder you're on? What parts of yourself did you sacrifice to become who you think you should be? Share in the comments below. What's one authentic dream you gave up for conventional success? Your courage to examine this might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to start questioning their own path. Jung called the process of becoming who you truly are individuation, and it's often terrifying because it requires disappointing people who are invested in your current version of success. Individuation means choosing authenticity over approval, meaning over money, fulfillment, over external validation. This doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job or abandoning your responsibilities. It means bringing your authentic self into whatever you're doing, making choices from your true values rather than your fears, and having the courage to disappoint people who prefer your mask to your face. Individuation is the process of taking off the costume of who you thought you should be and putting on the skin of who you actually are. It's scary because it means releasing the false security of external validation and learning to validate yourself from within. Alexandra's transformation didn't happen overnight. And it wasn't dramatic. She didn't quit her job in a blaze of glory or make any sudden life-altering decisions. Instead, she began making small choices from her authentic self rather than her achieving self. She started saying no to projects that felt meaningless, even prestigious ones. She began delegating more so she could leave work at reasonable hours. Most importantly, she started taking photos again, not for Instagram or any external purpose, but because it made her feel alive in a way that promotions never had. Her colleagues noticed changes. Some people were uncomfortable with this new version of Alexandra who had boundaries, opinions, and interests outside of work. But something beautiful happened. The people who mattered, who were capable of seeing her as more than her job title, were drawn to her authenticity. Jung understood that authentic success doesn't look like what society celebrates. It might mean making less money but feeling more alive. It might mean having a smaller title but greater impact. It might mean being misunderstood by some people but deeply known by the right people. Authentic success is measured not by external metrics, but by internal ones. Do you feel alive in your daily life? Are you growing into who you're meant to be? Are you contributing something meaningful? Do you respect the person you see in the mirror? The paradox Jung discovered is that when you stop chasing ego success and start pursuing authentic fulfillment, you often become more successful in traditional terms as well, because you bring your full energy and creativity to whatever you're doing rather than just going through the motions. The path to authentic success requires tremendous courage, because it means risking the approval you've worked so hard to earn. It means potentially disappointing people who are invested in your current version of success. It means facing the possibility that who you really are might not be as impressive to others as who you've been pretending to be, but Jung believed that this risk is worth taking because the alternative is spending your entire life living in exile from yourself. The alternative is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never actually lived it, you just performed it. The emptiness you feel after achieving everything isn't a problem to be solved, it's a doorway to be walked through. It's your soul's way of telling you that you've outgrown the container of who you thought you had to be. So I want to ask you something that might change your life. Are you ready to disappoint people who are invested in your performance rather than your presence? Are you ready to risk the approval you've earned by being who you thought you should be? Are you ready to discover what happens when you start succeeding at being yourself instead of succeeding at being someone else? The emptiness you feel isn't a sign that you're ungrateful or broken. It's a sign that you're ready for something more real, more meaningful, more aligned with who you actually are beneath all your achievements. Jung believed that the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. That journey doesn't begin when you have permission from others, it begins when you give permission to yourself. If this message resonated with something deep inside you, let me know in the comments by writing "I choose authenticity." Subscribe for more content about psychology, personal growth, and the courage to live an authentic life in a world that profits from your performance. Remember, you weren't meant to be successful at someone else's life. You were meant to be authentic in your own, and your authentic success, whatever that looks like, is waiting for you on the other side of your courage to disappoint people who prefer your mask to your face.